Welcome back to another Triathlon podcast brought to you by Mana Apparel. I'm Jenna-Caer and joined this week by Josh, and we're going to give a rundown of what's been going on in our training and racing, look ahead to a race coming up this weekend, as well as finish off our triathlon bingo card so that we can get that up. And it looks like we can already tick off one of the boxes that the team was pretty skeptical would get ticked off. So we will dive into all of it. But first, let's catch up. Josh, how are things going with you these days?
Going great. And contrary to the background, if you're watching on YouTube, I am not in Canada. I'm actually still in Massachusetts. We just happen to have 2 feet of snow and maybe more coming. So not much outdoor training these days for sure this winter. This was like our biggest storm in 4 years. So it was nice to actually have a true New England storm this past weekend and made a little racetrack for my dog out behind me here so he can go out even though he's a little tiny thing. But finally started running this week after taking 10, 11 days off running, just to let everything quiet down after I tried to run again a few weeks ago and it just wasn't feeling right. And I've learned how to swim in the meantime. And as painful as it is to get to the pool most of the time, it was amazing to swim 5 days in a row and a ton of yards and a lot of fast speed work and just different pace work and drill work, and felt like I could hold my own. And looking forward to getting back into that focus a little bit later in the year. But obviously right now the focus is still on the marathon. But I've been biking a ton and swimming a ton. And hey, if there's a 70.3 that happens in the near future, maybe I hop in because I'm triathlon fit right now and I'm not so much marathon fit. But it has been nice to start running again, just a couple 3-mile runs. Have another one today that I'll do later, and the heart rate hasn't been crazy. So I feel like the aerobic fitness is just off the charts right now, and doing everything I can to stay fit. And really all that means is just changing the goals for Tokyo, and instead of trying to shoot for the moon and go sub 3, realistically, potentially could still get there, but there's a bigger risk on the rest of the year. And there's way too many races that are on my calendar and way too many things that I still want to do this year and beyond that it's not worth the risk at this point. So the goal now has become get to Tokyo healthy. And then as we get closer, try to identify what the final goal will be, and strategy for race day, but really just go and enjoy it, which I'm kind of looking forward to anyways, and not have that huge thing all the way across the world. As fun as it is to go for it, and it's been a great process of understanding my body, and this is the first time I've had somewhat of a niggle that has set me back in a while, like where the other ones have been like, oh man, I got to deal with this again, or it's just the Achilles again, or this one was a true like, yeah, I need to stop and can't run. But thankfully, I did not have that same pain on the bike or on the swim and during strength and a lot of stuff we were able to continue to do and build a better engine. So really excited about that in my world. And yeah, we are, I think, officially a month away from Tokyo. So getting close. The flights, the Airbnb, everything's all booked, and we're going at the end of February, and spend about a week over there and really enjoy our time. And my wife's been sick and hasn't been able to do a lot of her training recently, so we're just kind of both in the same boat. Let's go and enjoy it. Our daughter's coming with us on the trip, so it'll be a really neat world major trip. I'm part of their Gold Club for this year too, so there's some neat side events that we'll be able to take part of and see some of the city that you might not normally get to see. So yeah, that's about where I'm at, and just working a ton for stuff that we're doing with Super Try, and more to come there eventually.
Yeah, no, but it sounds like you're taking the right attitude about it, right? Instead of pushing through with that goal, sticking to it when your body's just saying, no, this isn't going to happen right now, because you could very easily have a season ending injury with something like running. So the beauty of triathlon, you still got 2 other sports that you can do and keep that aerobic foundation going so you can go have some fun in Tokyo.
Yeah, exactly. And this was one of those times where I was definitely forced to listen to my body, and if I didn't, we'd probably be talking about surgery dates. So glad I did. And it's funny, I just put out a reel yesterday on an interview I had done a month or 2 months ago, and in that I talked about if I ever have a injury down the road to realize where I've come from, and I was like, it was like I was literally like talking to my current like 2 months later day
Shadowing.
self. It was like, shit, I should have kept my mouth shut about how how injury free I was, and that's the crazy part too. Is like I hadn't at that point in that run block, I was pain free with everything I'd ever had pain with. So it was like, this is awesome. This is why we're going to shoot for the moon and really push it. And a new type of niggle came up, and luckily I was like, that's different, and was able to shut it down. And I was like, as much as I was like, I don't want to tell my coach that this is happening because I know she's going to say get to the pool 5 days a week.
Yeah, always
Well, we went to the pool. Yeah. So yeah, that's my world. And I know you've been literally all over the world. So how things been with you besides getting sick again coming home?
Yeah, got sick on the way home again. I've been up since 1 a.m. With jet lag, so running on caffeine and vibes at this point. But no, happy to be back home. That was the hardest race I've ever done. Like no Ironman has felt like that, which is crazy because it's less than half the distance.
Yeah.
So if you missed it, I did the Samla 100 over in Qatar on Saturday, and it was a 3K ocean swim, 21K run, 22K mountain bike, 4K kayak, 22K mountain bike, 28K run through the desert.
Now hold on. Now you would think with Jenna's background, the bike and the run would have been the best part. And from what I watched, because you could actually physically watch this, I believe the swim and the kayak probably were. But you tell us.
The kayak was the easiest part of this whole race. It was insane. So, first off, there was a surprise showing by a lot of pro triathletes on the start line. I was kind of surprised to see out there, but it made it a lot of fun. We had names like Bradley Weiss came out, Henny Skuman, Will Draper. We had David Pleshay, Richard Murray. Rachel Clommer came out, Jess Learmonth. I didn't know Jess Learmonth was there, and then I saw her on the start line next to me and stuff. And I was like, oh,
Unbelievable.
wait a second. But just the craziest event. So I was kind of invited there by Travel Qatar just because this was the first year it was open to women or internationals. And it was so funny seeing the look on people's faces when I said I came from Canada. I was you know what I did win? Maybe I should shout this out to Pro Tri News. I got first North American. So they're always talking
There
about
you
the
go.
first American on there. So Kyle, I was first North American in this race. But yeah, it was just the craziest event out there, and it was so fun. They put us up at this resort there, but kind of the coolest part was I got to ride a camel. The day before the race, they did this kind of run through of the course because this is 5 transitions in the middle of the desert, like literally middle of nowhere. It was so crazy. The race start was like 50 kilometers from Doha, the city there. So we get bussed out to check out the transitions. And then at the start of it, they put us on camels. So I like hop on a camel and get lifted up. And then sitting next to me is like Richard Murray on a camel kind of thing. So
Yeah.
said hi to him. And it was one of those like surreal kind of moments riding a camel through the desert next to a few Olympians and stuff. It was like, okay, this is a little bit different race start here.
And at that point, like you really probably didn't know who was there either, too. Like that was probably your first sign of like, oh, there's some actual names here.
Totally, yeah. And unfortunately, I was really hoping to catch up with Annie Emerson from Super Try there, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, she had a fall and hurt her elbow like the day before she was supposed
It
to
was
fly.
like last minute decision. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a bummer not to see her there, but yeah, got a sense of who the athletes were going to be out there racing, and they had some good prize money. Like first place was 50,000 US, so it definitely attracted a few names to go compete for that. And it was so fun. They took us through the sand dunes of the desert to check out some of the transitions on like this. I can only describe it as a monster bus. It looked like a monster truck with like tires as tall as I am, but a bus on top.
Like a monster A-team van.
Totally. That's exactly what it was. That was the wildest feeling. They're like, seatbelts on, and you need to have seatbelts on because we're going over these sand dunes just like flying.
Yeah.
Them. So yeah, the day before even checking out the course was pretty crazy there. But it was so fun. I got kind of the pro treatment for the first time ever, and now I'm thinking I should have taken my pro card those few times I was offered it. Um, they bussed us to and from. The race organizers could not have been better organized everything. It was so well run. For the first year they've run the 100-kilometer distance, I
Yeah.
was seriously impressed. But they bussed us out there, and it was kind of fun. Race morning, they were calling up athletes to the start line. So my one claim to fame, this is the first time I'll ever be called by name to a start line ahead of like Rachel Clommer and Jess Learmonth and stuff. I'm like, I don't know if they read my race resume wrong or something, but I should not be called up before those two.
I was looking at all the different waves. I was like, wait, where's Jenna? Oh wait, no, she's up in wave 1, like one of the first names listed.
Like, I don't know if they misread what I put in, but no way it should be put there. But it was so fun. Oh my goodness. Rachel Clommer could not have been nicer. We were hanging out on the bus tour back and forth and stuff, and on the start line just chatting away. And it was so funny going in. She was, her and Richard Murray retired. So the last year they haven't been doing as much training, and they're working on transforming this location into like a training facility. So they've been a lot more focused on that. And she's saying, oh, the fitness isn't there. She hasn't done long course at all. And she's like, oh yeah, just going to go out and have some fun, and absolutely smashes it winning the race. So that was very, very
And the moment that she took the lead is on camera, and I remember watching it, and like she catches up to Jess Learmonth on the first run, so early on, and like you just said, like it's exactly who she is. She literally just starts chatting with Jess.
yeah. Like
And it was like she didn't want to pass her. She was just like, I want to, like, there's somebody here. We could actually do this together. And then it was like you could see Jess was struggling on the run and in the sand and trying to find. This was the part I found fascinating. Like some people had a hard time finding the hard path, like that was already created by the vehicles and the dune buggies. And it was like, and then you look at Henry Schumann, it looks like he's running on a track. And then you look at Jess Learmonth and she's like digging every step. And I was like, oh man, this looks awful. But yeah, exactly what I pictured Rachel Climber
yeah.
being like. It's like
Oh,
caught in
just
that moment as she passes
lovely
Jess.
and fun. Yeah, and that was the crazy part with this race was like they told us the first run was the hard part, but the second run was a lot more packed and easier kind of thing. Oh, they lied. That
Mm.
was not it. I will say so. 49 kilometers of the 100K was running. So it's the first time I've covered that distance too. But like 80% of it was soft sand, like just running along the beach, soft sand. It was the craziest thing. I was not prepared for that whatsoever. And the rest of it was kind of like rocks and trail and stuff. So my legs were shot from the first run just because I've been training inside for this the whole time through, the winter here. And just all those little auxiliary muscles, stabilizer muscles and stuff, my hip flexors and quads were just not happy from the
Should
first
have been
one.
out there running in the snow.
I never would have thought the best part
You had
was
a perfect training
running
ground.
through the snow. I had the perfect training ground. But nowhere in my head did I think it'd
Yeah,
be like running along a beach for
yeah. It's not worth the risk of injury.
Yeah, probably not. But yes, that was totally crazy and such a different challenge. Like just trying to take pace out of the equation because running on sand is not like running on the ground by any means. But the crazy part was then we got on the bike and you were pushing your bike up and down sand dunes. I don't know, like I assume the
It was like
pros.
cyclocross.
Yeah, it was. I should have been practicing my track stands and like hopping on and off the bike for cyclocross for this. Like
I
it
mean,
literally
it made the pros look like amateurs. It was just
totally
like so funny to watch. It was like because they would go up these like literally sand dunes and then go back down to a hard air packed, but not really. But it was like halfway up the sand dune or get off the sand dune coming down and then try and get back on the bike. Nope, too early. Nope, go again, too early. And it was like 3 or 4 attempts before they finally got to the point where you could like stay on your bike and ride.
It's exactly it. It was so crazy. And your shoes just like the sand is going above your ankles kind of thing. So you're on the bike with your shoes just filled with sand in there. And it really what the amount of times I hopped on and off was absolutely insane and just trying to I spent so much more of the bike pushing my bike than I ever would have considered. But it was definitely a race that tested your mental toughness. And I was starting to worry by the end about like cutoff times and stuff. Like end up having an hour and a half in the end, but I thought I was going to be like 3 hours faster. So when we actually did the course preview the day before, I'm like, I need to pack more nutrition because this is
Yeah.
not going to be fast at
And
all.
and electrolytes and I mean, the amount of salt that you saw on people at the end of that race.
Crazy. Yeah. And it's just, yeah, it's so dry and arid out there too. And it was such a, like, especially on the last runs. Last run was 28K to finish it off. And you're literally running in the middle of nowhere, just following this line of flags through the wide open desert, which is crazy. And they had aid stations every 5K on the runs. At least you got kind of checkpoints. Um, and it started getting dark. And again, I had not, like, no way in my mind was I going to be out there in the dark until I was out there, and everything took a lot longer than I thought it would. So the motivation was, the end was just like, finish before sunset, because I don't know what I'm going to do if the sun sets, because I didn't bring a headlamp, like, did not
Yeah.
prepare for that at least, right? But it was pretty cool. There were lots of
You
cheers.
finished, and how many people didn't?
It had a 30% finish rate.
Yeah, that's insane.
And that was like, I've never in my life worried about cutoff times, and I started thinking about those, because that was seriously legit. But you know what? It was fun in like a mental grit, mental toughness, like paces out the window. I didn't even put power on my bike kind of thing. It was just see what you can do. And I was so underprepared for the actual like terrain and conditions and stuff. But having to have that like internal mental battle was kind of fun with it. And it just,
Yeah.
yeah, it felt cool to finish it. And it kind of, again, felt like a pro across the line, and they've got the TV crews and stuff. And I was the Canadian. So sticky
Here
cameras
comes the
right
pasty
away.
redhead Canadian.
I might stand out a little bit over there, bright red hair, pasty white skin.
You and Henry Schumann.
Totally. Oh my goodness. But yeah, it was such a cool adventure for all of it. And like I said, I got to chat with a few of the pros on there. I got to meet Heather from Global Tri News. She was so fun to chat. Again, could not be more friendly and personable and stuff. And it was fun to share some of those war stories.
Yeah, and upset with her 11th place just out of the prize money finish.
I
Like, she's
know.
like, I can barely get around. I was like, you almost got the prize money. Like, come on now.
Oh, and it was so funny. She was saying before the race, she's like, I want to finish anywhere except 11th. Like 11th
Yeah.
would be the worst case.
It's like the chocolate position.
Oh my goodness. And by like seconds too. Like it was
Yeah,
not
she was
a
close.
cheap margin. Yeah, she was incredible. It was so much fun to chat with her. So overall, just the craziest experience. I'm so glad I went over there and did it. Part of me is kind of like, well, now that I know, I kind of want to go back and actually prepare properly for it. But not gonna lie, a January race is tough to train for here. I'm definitely like, okay, ready for a little bit of downtime after that.
Yeah, I bet. And it was fascinating to watch.
And you have to watch the coverage.
Impossible to listen to. Because it was all in Arabic.
Really?
But it was quad box central and 3 boxes and 2 boxes, and it was like I could see everything. And now you could tell in the actual graphics that they would put up didn't match sometimes with like who was on the race and who they were actually showing. But yeah, the capabilities in the middle of the desert, like, come on now.
I mean, that they've got a quad box, and the first time
With doom buggies and yeah,
oh my
it's
goodness.
possible.
Yes, it is possible. Take note, some of the other race organizers. First time event in the middle of the desert can pull off the quad box, then yeah, I'm sure hopefully we'll see more of that next year.
Yeah. No, they had like lead woman, lead man, chase pack.
Ah, gotcha.
It was really good.
Oh, so cool. But yeah, no, man, that was something else. And it
No,
was it
for
was fun to
fast.
go so unknown into it. I had a call with my coach beforehand. He's like, "Well, how's the setup? What is this? What's the terrain?" I'm like, "I don't know." Like every single question was like, "I have no idea." But
And that was what, like your third or fourth ride on the mountain bike?
oh, well, I did my second ride there on the flat pathway. So that
Yeah. No
got me dialed.
practice whatsoever.
No, an adventure all around. Although I still maintain my gravel bike would have been a better bike for it, because it was like you could either ride or you couldn't ride. There's not a
Yeah.
lot of in
Yeah, yeah,
between.
yeah.
At least with my gravel bike, it's so much lighter. I could have thrown it over my shoulders to walk over the sand dunes instead of pushing this bike. But I did not have a carbon high-end mountain bike because doing one race with it.
Absolutely fascinating. It certainly made me think about it. The swim didn't seem too crazy. I was like, all right, well, the kayak seemed fun. Once you got there, it was like, oh man, do I want to finish the kayak? Do I want to get back on the
Well,
bike and go?
here's the crazy thing. So Heather's partner, he was doing the race as well. His kayak sunk. So,
Oh God.
like, and instead of like bringing a new kayak out to him, they towed him in, grabbed a new kayak, and then he had to go back to where he was. So he added
Wow.
probably an hour to his time in there. I felt so bad. It's like, oh, you do not want to add extra distance to this race.
Unbelievable. Well, yeah, now there's another race in that region again this weekend. We'll get to it.
There is. Well, why don't we roll straight into that? Because you brought up this race, and there's actually sounds like Henry Schumann is doing the back to back here. Why don't you tell us what's going on this weekend?
Yeah, so the Challenge family has a pretty legit pro field at Challenge Sir Bani Yas. I don't know if I said that correctly at all, but it's a 3-word island off of Dubai, and it is these pro athletes and these athletes are going to get on a cruise ship tomorrow and take the cruise ship to the island to get ready for the race. And it's a long course race, and there's a pretty decent pro field. So again, a pretty decent purse. It's, I think, a silver tier race. You've got the likes of Jonas Schomburg, Peter Heimrich, Kieran Linders, Henry Schumann, who just raced in Qatar and finished second place, led the whole first half of the race, and then finished in second. So we'll see how that double goes in the desert. But yeah, pretty legit Mills field. And then on the female side, we've got Ellie Salthouse, Natalie Van Couverden, Fenella Langridge returning. Katrine Gersball Christensen. So there's some decent names on the female side. I'm sure there's some others that I don't recognize, but a pretty talented field for an early season race. And we know we're all kind of earmarking New Zealand as the season kickoff in the Pro Series, but there's definitely some money to be had out there in other arenas. And we're seeing some names that we recognize doing these races. So another one that we'll have to tune into this weekend and just to see the fascination that it is. It's
Yeah.
triathlon and it's the middle of the off season.
Well, and hopefully they have this broadcast in English because I think we're all starting to kind of get that itch for a triathlon to watch because we were so spoiled last season. Like there was so much good racing last
Yeah.
year. It's like, oh, feels like it's been a really long time. I want to just follow something.
Yeah. And Henry Schumann is there. I looked up before we went on the
Yeah,
broadcast
he
to
had
see
mentioned
if
that last weekend.
he had posted he's there. An absolutely gorgeous pool in a hotel somewhere overlooking the desert and the rest of the world. But yeah, and then I looked to see if Belinda was announcing it too, like you were just talking about. I don't think she is, but yeah, we'll have to keep everyone in tune on how that goes down next week.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be good to watch. And then, yeah, the countdown to New Zealand and getting into the T100 racing. I am definitely getting eager to see those races get started up again. So it feels like it's been too long already. But speaking of the Ironman races, we had a big announcement come up just this week. And we have got our first bingo card check mark on there with Ironman announcing that they're moving from 12 meters to 20 meters in the draft. So, yeah.
I think we were just surprised how soon it came out, but then you
Mhm.
start to think like if they're going to, and what they did was instituted for the entire season in all of the pro races, you have to let people know because they have to train differently. And now you're looking at between now and March 7th, you're still only a month and a half ish away, not even. So yeah, why don't you give us a little bit more details on it? But it sounds like the wish was granted.
Yes, absolutely. And that's one thing we do have to give Iron Man and Scott Drew credit there because They've been very much listening to the athletes this last little while, and they've made some big changes based on athlete feedback, which is something that we haven't seen in previous iterations of Ironman. And even the announcement like this, they're kind enough to invite all the media, ourselves included, to a call with Scott Drew, where for 45 minutes he answered any questions we had on it, kind of gave us a rundown of what was happening with the change, why they were making the change, and to see that transparency has been definitely a breath of fresh air. So what they did was they did some testing with a number of pros. Now we just see the bar charts that prove the results without having the actual numbers behind it. But basically what they saw was the change in draft benefit from 12 meters to 16 meters wasn't drastically significant, but when they went from 16 meters to 20, it was just statistically quite significant. So when they saw that data, they did the testing with Mark Gravelin, the aerodynamicist. They used Race Ranger to make sure athletes were staying at 20 meters. They used aero sensors to measure the difference in CDA. So it sounds like they had a fairly robust protocol to actually put data and numbers to it to show that, yes, this is giving athletes an advantage if we want Ironman to be that individual challenge, because the speeds and technology and the equipment have increased so much that this actually makes a drastic difference. So yeah, they made the change to 20.
Yeah, and it comes down to the speed of the
Yeah,
bikes. I
exactly.
mean, really, and so this is not going to take place for age groupers, and maybe in a world, I did ask Scott when we were on the call this week if there was any talks or hopes of maybe a sub elite age group elite field wave that would have Race Ranger included, because we've all seen races where the front end of the age group male field will catch up to the back end of a female pro field, and we all know that there's pros out there with pro cards that aren't as fast as a lot of age groupers, and that does interact, and then you've got slotting in and things like that that would take place. So there's nothing in the works now. He's aware of that idea, and I think Race Ranger would absolutely love it, because it would mean there more pieces of their equipment out there. And but the fact that they were able to institute this, and obviously let's give a shout out to the guys at Pro Tri News and all the work they did with it, and to push it and to keep it out in the forefront. And even before this, after that testing was done, they had a quick roundtable with Sam Long and Taylor and Magnus. And I think even Magnus said Mark Gravelin had reached out to him and asked if he could get some of his power data from races, and how it impacted when he was in races where there was a train, and what were his power number differences. So whether or not that was used in this determination or not, I think we've all seen the accolades that Mark Gravelin has, and clearly it. If you have an XY axis and data like that, great. If you need I think we all knew what the results were going to be.
Yeah.
What what was crazy is how little of a difference there was between 12 and 16. It sounds, and really at 20, what it became, and then even at 20, the difference, like the fourth and fifth wheel, like it became even less of an instance. So I'm excited for it. I think it's gonna make for some really dynamic racing, and change the way the full distance is raced. The half Ironman difference, it's still gonna be a different race for sure. But when you're talking about Kona and the impact that this could have there, it's huge. And you want to see people blowing up on the Queen K on the run. I think we might have gotten that again.
Yeah, and even like you mentioned, kind of Lionel Sanders went on Pro Chinese to talk a little bit about it and how it definitely changes the dynamics in there, because and that was one thing that I was surprised Scott had a different opinion or thought on it when I mentioned within that meeting with Scott and the media and stuff. I said, do you have any plans to change the broadcast so that we see some of those stories of people coming from behind? Because we won't have those packs traveling together as much. If there's 20 meters, people are going to drop off, but it also gives the opportunity for people to come from behind those strong bikers that aren't as strong of swimmers. And he kind of had the thought, well, we don't know if we'll see as much of that, because with the 20-meter draft zone, you have to put out a lot more effort to pass through the field. Which is one thought. And then I also asked about, are we going to see changes in the slotting in rules with the 20-meter draft? They said there's more to come on that with the release of the 2026 rules that will be coming in the coming weeks. Um, but I was kind of surprised to hear him take that opinion that we would see less of it because there is a longer draft zone. I think more Lionel Sanders and the faster bikers are right in that they have more of a chance to catch up because you're going to see that front group start to shatter like we've seen at T100 and other races and stuff.
You're not going to
There's
have
some
10 to 15 people trains that
oh
are
no,
holding
yeah,
on, and you're going to have maybe 2 or 3 people in a train, and they're a lot
exactly.
easier to catch.
Yeah, for sure. And even like they're mentioning the Norwegians kind of train specifically for something like 12 meters because they know they're going to get that draft benefit. Well, that changes up how they have to do their training too if they're training specifically for 20 meters because the bike becomes a lot more important because it really 10%, even 5% when you're talking pro athletes at the top of their game, that is a massive difference in energy output when it comes to the bike. And yeah, some of those explosions we might see on the run.
Yeah, and we'll find out with the new rules that'll be out in the next couple of weeks because that has to come out again, obviously ahead of Ironman New Zealand. It was also at the same time Challenge Roth announced that they're going to 20 meters too, so let's not forget that as well. So
Yeah,
we had
how
two
could I dropped it right before?
Challenge Roth announcement dropped, and then all of a sudden all our emails blew up from Ironman, like, all right, we're making the announcement. And that went out. So the rules will be coming that'll clarify a little bit more, specifically with how much time do you have to pass and how much room do you need to slot in, like Jenna had asked about. And yeah, I believe this is going to create some more stories of that come from behind win. And I thought Lionel was spot on. Like, that's why people fell in love with triathlon in the first place, and the Konas of the world, because you can all relate to that struggle no matter who you are. And now the top end pros they just want to race mano a mano. And now this has brought us closer to that. And all sports are changing the way they do things. And unfortunately, it sounds like, though, in Lionel, like this one, this is kind of my WTF of the week. The Australian Open and maybe some other Grand Slam tennis organizations are not, because they told people no whoop while you're playing, even though it's under a wristband that you're wearing anyways. It was like, so kudos to Whoop for sending undergarments or whatever they need to do, sports bras and stuff, to their pros that are in Australia. But man, yeah, it's all about the data and training for specific races. And like you said, like you and your coach had no clue how to train for that race. But these races, we know exactly how to train for.
No, absolutely. And you know what? The turnaround was really quick too, because like when I had that sit down chat with Scott in Marbella, they said it's not in the plan in the near future, but then they saw the data, saw what a difference it makes, and they're willing to pivot and make a change. So that's good. And then the takeaway for the age groupers is nothing changes for you there. It's still a 12-meter draft zone if you're following legally. We see some
2
races.
meters, 3 meters.
Oh man. But yeah, so for age groupers, that doesn't change right now. It's just for the pros. And it's just nice to see a consolidation of the rules across the different race organizations, right? It's not check the race for what distance it's going to be. Everyone's kind of transitioning to that 20 meters across the board. Stick to that. And then there's no excuses in the pro field, too.
You're gonna have a lot of happy, like the Matthew Marquards, the Magnus Ditlifs, the Sam Longs, the Jonas Schomburgs. I mean, like these. And the interesting part will be the swim bikers now. Like, what does this do for Sam Laidlow? And like these guys that can get off the front and ride together don't have to worry about big trains holding on to them anymore like they had in the past too. So the dynamics of the race are going to be really, really neat. And they better figure out how to cover somebody throwing down 500
Yeah.
watts to make the pass.
Coming from behind, making the way up through the field.
Yeah.
No, that would definitely be good. Well, next up here, we had a couple more bingo card slots to go through. We only made it through about 2/3 of it when we had Mark on the show, but we got so into the chat that it started going a little bit long here. So let's go through a few of the other items we have in our bingo card. And like we mentioned, we got one checked off already with the 20-meter draft zone, which I will say, everyone said, no, I don't think about happen there, except for me. So I'm happy to check that one off, I'll say. Okay, so let's go. I think the next one we had on here was a big name will be popped for doping this year. What do you think? Are we going to see another name kind of pop on the radar?
I mean, we all hope not, first and foremost. We do have one trying to come back.
I saw that. That should be the what the F. Was
Toma Rodriguez is trying to
yeah.
come back, and he keeps throwing out content, and I keep avoiding it, but it's just like no recognition of what he did or who he impacted or whatsoever. Like no sorrow and no remorse whatsoever on what he did. It seems like so it's hard to even think like to root for him at all. I hope that there isn't. My concern, the other side of the 20-meter ruling, is now you're going to have people trying to find ways to hold on to their professional careers, and because they can't, like, right. So there's now a gap created that we need in the sport, but whenever there's some type of a challenge, you've got the Tomas Rodriguez's of the world who are still out there. So I hope not. Maybe in 2027, after 2026 plays out, but that would be the reason I would see at this point.
No, fair enough. Okay, we got next up another first timer wins a world championship. We definitely saw something crazy this year with first timers with the men's and the women's Ironman World Championships being taken by first timers and all Norwegians. But what do you think? Are we going to see another first timer take the top spot, or do we have the top of the top is too dialed in?
It's going to be interesting for sure. I mean, Lionel's going to win Kona, so I mean,
Yes.
does that count as a first timer? As like first time to finally win, but no, it'll. I think we'll have. You're going to have somebody who's been there before and understands the dynamics of the race a little bit more. Now, I don't. I think it all comes down to Hayden Wild. Well, no, because Yellow Geens could be qualifying for.
Oh, yeah, Yellow Gaines could be coming. And then I was going to say Julie Duran. She could be one who, with the 20 meters and her
Who
bike strength,
didn't make it this year.
yeah,
So
it would be her first time.
there is a very good chance. Yes, I'm going with yes.
There's a possibility here. Yeah, Yellow Gaines is a good shout too. I'm so curious to see how his first Ironman goes. It's just, man, that guy's got some grit and speed.
Yeah, and I don't think he's one of those bikers that tended to hang on in the packs. He
No, he
tended to
kept falling
lead.
off and having to catch up.
Yeah, yeah. Like what he did in Nice is insane. Can he replicate that in Kona with the wind and being a smaller athlete? We'll see. That
Yeah,
we don't
and
know.
just being in arrow position that long too,
Yeah,
like it's something that takes a little while for the short course athletes to adapt to.
but we have athletes that can do this as first timers.
I think so. Okay, next up, recent guest on the podcast, Georgia Taylor Brown, wins in 3 different distances. I think this one is a pretty good shout. Like, especially you got Super Tri Racing. She's going to be doing WTCS again. T100 option, 70.3. Like, she had a crazy end of the season. Now that she seems to have figured out the fueling aspect,
Yeah,
I think she's going to be on fire this year.
I can see her winning 2 of those, and I don't know if Super Tri will be enough of a focus and that short distance being a factor for her. And I don't feel like in the WTCS where we're going to see her at the front of her winning a WTCS. I think she's going to be showing up, getting her start lines and building towards winning next year. Um, but I do think she will win a T100 race and she will win a 70.3 this year for sure. So 2 of the 3. I don't think she's going to win at 3 different distances.
Okay, I think she's got it. But we'll go into Paula Finley does her first full Ironman. There's been rumors of it a couple years in a row, but I think this year is going to be the year she finally does, and she'll surprise us there. But what do you think?
I don't think it's even a surprise anymore, especially like after the news this week, 20-meter draft rule for an Uber biker. Yeah.
Totally.
Paul Finley's in. I think the only question would be, will it be Lake Placid? Will it be Texas? Where will it be? Is the question. So yeah, Paula Finley is definitely going to be qualifying for Kona.
Well, more to come on this, but we'll say for right now, a short shoot is the decisive moment in a super tri event.
I mean, I think anytime there's a short shoot in a super tri event, there is a chance it's going to decide the event, regardless. Whether or not it gives a chance for a comeback or not is the question.
Fair. You know, it was so funny. There was such a debate whether the short shoot was good, bad. It's not what we're used to. Kind of, I love the short shoot. Short shoot. It just threw a spanner in the works. It was like, okay, be ready for this and see what you got left.
We all know when you're like total red line like that, the brain goes fast and you forget. Like, so it's really funny when you're watching one of those races and you see somebody who's in second or third watch other people take the short shoot and be totally baffled that that just
Yeah,
happened, and like they totally
kind of
forgot that
like
this is a
short
factor of the
circuit.
race. And they've done the race for years and they still forget that the short shoot is going to rush them and they need to make a difference. But yeah, it will make a difference in a race this year.
Okay, I think this one's a big shout, but Patrick Lang wins Kona again and retires afterwards.
No, he's not winning Kona. I think that was pretty much one of the digs that others have made to that pack that we saw in Kona 2 years ago in the men's race. Um, not
Saying
taking
you're
turns on the
speechless.
front and all of that. So who knows? I don't believe at this point in his career this rule helps him.
See, I see a world where they all blow up trying to push it on the bike to use the 20-meter rule, and they all just push too hard on the bike, and then Patrick Lange just runs by again.
This is true. Or Sam Laidlow has grown up enough to not ride that far off the front and stave a little bit for the run. I don't. It's huge because now maybe it pushes Sam back into even crazier Sam mode, and he's got to go even further off the front because he's like, well, now Lionel's coming, or now
For sure.
Magnus. There's other players that are now back involved. Yeah, the dynamics are going to be really cool in
Can't
Kona.
wait to see how it plays out. That's it, right? Like it injects this whole different tactics and training and forces the athletes to adapt, and whoever adapts quickest will see success early in this, and they'll all figure it out eventually. But just that transition period where they have to figure it out and figure out the training and everything, I think that opens things up for some fun racing.
I wonder if it's going to close down a lot of Strava accounts for a year. Everyone's going to go silent on what they're doing in their
Right?
training.
Tired of pushing you. Oh my goodness. Okay, next one up is Ironman finally releases race ranger data for their races with the athletes named. So as of right now, they send the data to the athletes privately and like say averages for the race or whatever, but will they start to push out the data like T100 has done and show the draft time for each individual athlete?
I think there's just too many races where you're going to have the data for races that just aren't as like the T100 races. Every race is impactful. The
Mhm.
Pro Series, every race is impactful. So maybe we get to start. If it happens, it's going to be Pro Series first, and that would be my
Yeah.
guess.
Well, and that's where we're not going to see Race Ranger at all of the pro races either. It'll be at the Pro Series or the Ironman Series races, and then a number of the pro races, but not all of them there. So, I'd be really curious to see it, especially with the change up to 20 meters. Just because, to be perfectly honest, we have seen with T100 with the almost not name and shame, but the draft times have
Vincent
significantly
Louis.
reduced since they actually started putting out the individual data there. And I think especially with this 20 meters change, like maintaining the integrity of that and maximizing on the impact this will actually have on those races, it wouldn't be bad to put it out in there to make sure everyone's kind of playing fair.
Yeah. And it seems like even in like the surveys that Pro Tri News did, like they had no problem asking for the names and people were like, you wouldn't expect to vote for it, voted for it. So
Yeah.
I think the athletes are fine with the data being shared. And it seems like it was a lot of athletes saying, hey, where's the actual data on the XY axis and all of that too. So more is better. We didn't say that they would do the 20 meters, and they did it. So let's be hopeful that they do
Yeah.
share some data with us.
Yeah, and like I said, they're really definitely moving towards more of this transparency kind of era of Ironman. So I think that would fall in line with it because they said they wouldn't release the data at all before, and then seeing that people want it, they've made more moves forward there too. Um, Next up is cadence is mentioned at least 10 times in a race broadcast. I think that's almost a lock.
I mean, how far into the season do we have to go before we get it? And the fact that we start with an Ironman in New Zealand probably gives us a good chance to knock that one off on March 7th.
Yeah, you're probably right. Depends on who the commentators are in there
Yeah.
and how quickly we get to that, but we will be counting them up on the first race of the year. I think that's almost as good as a free space, to be honest.
But it could be the centerpiece.
Yeah. Um, and the last one here, Cam Wurf wins a Pro Series race. What do you think? Is he going to come up there after getting the fastest bike split or the bike split record in Texas last year? Is he going to pull through for an Ironman win at a Pro Series race? Not just at
At a Pro Series race. Nope, understood. 20 meters definitely helps Cam Wurf.
Very true. Very, very true. Yeah. Yeah, I can't quite see it. I would love to
But
see
he's
it. I
also
would love to
40
see it.
what?
Yeah. Man, I aged him last time, so I'm not going to guess again.
uh,
Oh.
it's I would love to see it. I don't think anyone wouldn't love to see it at this point. But yeah, I mean, what an awesome human he is for the sport of triathlon
Yeah.
and endurance sports in general. And now you get to see videos of his kid out there rooting for him and cheering for him. And um and he is running like half marathons, like standalone half. He did some like back to back, like Carl. He did like a back to back race in one day, where it was like a 10K and a half marathon or something like that in the same day, out in Carlsbad. So it's let's say I say yes. Cam Wurf wins a Pro Series race. There's enough of the Pro Series races that we all know he likes to hop in all of them. If he picks the right
I
one with the
mean,
right,
hey,
we'll see what his plan is this year. But I'm rooting for you, Cam.
love it. Well, that is the end of our bingo board. I will put together a graphic here where we have all of those on there and see if we can get a bingo throughout the season and just have some fun following along throughout the year. That I think that'll be a good time because this year is just going to be insane. We've got so many changes. We've got changes coming at Super Tri. We've got T100, no more contracts. It's whoever wants to go in there. I think, well, Ironman, we got the change with the 20-meter rule. So it's really anyone's game at all of these races. You can't go off of last year entirely because so much is changing this year, and I'm stoked for it.
And by the way, the Olympic point cycle starts as well.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
qualifications for LA is underway halfway through this year too. So that's going to really kick things up, and it'll be interesting to see what Alex E we get in that world as well.
No, I'm so curious. How much must it be? Like, one of our things was that Alex C will break the British marathon record for our bingo board there. But you got to think when you're that close, like, there's got to be some itch to want to try one more time to get there. But
He's
yeah,
still young, and the Olympics are the Olympics. I mean, we don't know. I just feel like he is in a he's a defending medalist. He can set all kinds of records by going to LA and doing well there and still retain the capabilities of getting faster in the marathon because he's not aged himself out of marathon yet. Now what he is doing is aging out of the Olympic distance in that
true.
speed and right. So if he is going to take care of some record breaking pieces of his career, then now's the time to do it and let the marathon thing come along the way. And he's proven that even with swim and bike still being a factor, he was able to get to where he got. And Valencia is insane, and now remove the swim and the bike as much as he still did it going into a true marathon career. Then yeah, he's got time for that.
Well, we'll definitely be following along. Was there anything else going on in the triathlon world these days that you wanted to chat about?
I think we've covered it all with the news, and I do want to say it was really neat to be included in this small little network, and kudos to everyone who's listened to our podcast and shared it and watched it on YouTube, and for us to be considered one of the few media sources that Ironman had on that call was really neat moment for Jenna and Fed and I, and yeah, and to the others that push us to be better, and everyone else in the world that covers triathlon. I think we're all making each other better. I don't need to be the number one podcast. We say this all the time. We just want to get more information out there, because I know when this time of year, I'm running out of podcast on my 3.5 hour bike rides, and we're all doing some of those longer workouts right now, and it's nice to have content. So appreciate everyone who has supported us, and we'll continue to do what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to try to get out to more races too. Texas for sure, I'll be out at doing coverage again. And that was a lot of fun to meet a lot of people over there, potentially Oceanside, but that's to be determined. And yeah, just if you do see us out at the race and stuff too, come say hi, go give us a follow on YouTube. And we look forward to bringing you more interviews. If you guys ever have people that you want to see on the podcast, just shoot us a message, comment on YouTube, and we'll definitely try to chase them down to bring you some of the athletes that you want to hear from. Now, I will say Lionel is out. We keep hearing Lionel. Man, it took Pro Tri News years to get him on there. So I don't know if we'll be getting on it or getting him on anytime soon. But anyone else, let us know and we'll chase him down.
Tell you, it is nice to get messages saying like, "Hey, how did you get him? How did you get her?" And we've definitely done well in terms of the interviews that we've had, and we'll continue to do that and bring anyone that you want for us to have. And I think like even somebody like Ray Maker from DC Raymaker, like that was a really cool interview, and brought a lot of neat information at this point of the year, and we got a lot of views and listens there. So yeah, just the keep liking and commenting on the stuff that we put out, and that'll help us attract more names, and obviously the having the backing from Mon Apparel has been really huge, and we're hopeful to have an even bigger year this year. And like Jenna said, you will definitely see us at 70.3 Nice. We just got to get fed there.
Gotta get Penny out there.
That is the we've got a live show earmarked there. We just got to figure it all out, and get fed qualified.
Definitely. Well said. Well, thank you everyone for listening, and we will be back next week to chat through whatever other surprises come up in the triathlon world, because sure there'll be a few.